जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज बिहारी गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज बिहारी गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातिरवनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज बिहारी गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज बिहारी गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 3, chapter entitled Liberation from the Illusory Energy, text number 44. Parokshvado vedoyam balanam anuशासनम् karma mokshaya karmani विदत्ते यगदं यथा। परोक्षवादो वेदोऽयं बालानाम् अनुशासनं कर्ममोक्षाय कर्माणि विदत्ते यगदं यथा। परोक्षवादो वेदोऽयं बालानाम् अनुशासनं कर्ममोक्षाय कर्माणि विदत्ते यगदं यथा। मोक्षाय कर्माणि विदत्ते यगदं यथा। यगदं यथा। Vaishnavis. बालानाम् अनुशासनं मोक्षाय कर्माणि दत्ते यगदं यथा। Word for word meaning. Parokshavadah, describing a situation as something else in order to disguise its real nature. Vedaha, Vedas. Ayam, these. Balana, of childlike persons. Anushasanam, guidance. Karma mokshaya, for liberation from material activities. Karmani, material activities. Vidhatte, prescribe. He, indeed. Agadam, a medicine. Yatha, just as. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Childish and foolish people are attached to materialistic, fruitive activities, although the actual goal of life is to become free from such activities. Therefore, the Vedic injunctions indirectly lead one to the path of ultimate liberation by first prescribing fruitive religious activities, just as a father promises his child candy so that the child will take his medicine. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna, the Vedas apparently offer fruitive results within the three modes of material nature. Those who perform ritualistic ceremonies or austerities in the mode of goodness are offered the chance for promotion to the higher planetary systems called Swargaloka. Ashnanti Divyan Divideva Bhogan. Similarly, those who follow Karmakanda or fruitive religious activities in the mode of passion are allowed to become great rulers or wealthy men on earth and enjoy great prestige and earthly power. But as stated in the Manu Samhita, Pravritti Resha Bhutanam Nivrittistu Mahaphala. Although fruitive religious activities are very much popular among the conditioned souls, the actual perfection of life is achieved when one gives up all fruitive endeavor. If a father tells his child, "You must take this medicine by my order," the child may become fearful and rebellious and reject the medicine. Therefore, the father entices his child by saying, "I am going to give you a delicious piece of candy. But if you want this candy, first just take this little bit of medicine and then you can have the candy." Such indirect persuasion is called Parokshavadah, or an indirect description that conceals the actual purpose. The father presents his proposal to the child as if the ultimate goal were to receive the candy and only a minor condition must be fulfilled to receive it. Actually, however, the father's goal is to administer the medicine to the child and cure him of his disease. Thus, describing the primary purpose indirectly and concealing it with a secondary proposal is called Parokshavada, or indirect persuasion. Since the great majority of conditioned souls are addicted to sense gratification, the Vedic Karmakanda rituals offer them a chance to become free from temporary materialistic sense gratification by making them greedy for fruitive Vedic results such as promotion to heaven or a powerful ruling position on earth. In all Vedic rituals, Vishnu is worshipped, and thus one is gradually promoted to the understanding that one's actual self-interest is to surrender to Vishnu. Nate vidusvarthakatim he Vishnu. Such an indirect method is prescribed for balanam, those who are childish or foolish. An intelligent person can immediately understand by direct analysis the actual purpose of Vedic literatures as described by the Lord Himself. All Vedic knowledge ultimately aims at achieving shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without such shelter, one must rotate within the 84 million species offered by the illusory energy of the Lord. Ordinary material vision, either through gross sense perception or the subtle perception of rational induction, always yields imperfect knowledge, distorted by the desire for illusory material enjoyment. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that the cultivation of impersonal self-realization is also a disturbance to the conditioned soul. Since the impersonal speculative process is an artificial attempt to become completely formless, Such an attempt is not at all in accord with the proper judgment of the Vedas, which is described in Bhagavad Gita. In Lord Chaitanya's movement, there is no need to childishly pursue fruitive material results and gradually be dragged to actual knowledge. According to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Harer Nama, Harer Nama iva kevalam, kalau nasti eva gatiranyatha. In Kali Yuga, life is very short and people are generally undisciplined, misguided, and are overwhelmed by the unfavorable results of their previous activities. Thus, their minds are never peaceful and their very brief lifespan vitiates the possibility of their gradually progressing to the path of Vedic ritualistic activities. Therefore, the only hope is to chant the holy names of the Lord, Harir Nama. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 12.3.51 it is stated, Kaleer dosha nide rajan asti eko mahan gunaha kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha param rajet. Kali Yuga is an ocean of hypocrisy and pollution. In Kali Yuga, all natural elements are polluted, such as water, earth, sky, mind, intelligence and ego. The only auspicious aspect of this fallen age is the process of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Simply by this delightful process of Krishna Kirtan, one is freed from his connection to the fallen age and goes back home, back to Godhead. Sometimes the preachers of Krishna consciousness movement also use the paroksha or indirect method of persuasion, offering a nice transcendental sweet to the conditioned soul to entice him to come to the lotus feet of the Lord. Mahaprabhu's moment is Kevala Anandakanda, simply blissful. But by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even one who is indirectly attracted to the Krishna consciousness movement achieves very quickly the perfection of life and goes back home, back to Godhead. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langaite Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So we are discussing from this third chapter entitled Liberation from Illusory Energy. And a few verses back, Nimi Maharaj had asked a question to the Navayogendras about describing Karma Yoga. And now one of the Navayogendras, whose name is Avirhotra, he is replying and he is talking about the process of Karma Yoga. So in this particular verse, it is described that how for a person to practice Karma Yoga or for a person to practice some level of spiritual life, sometimes indirect instructions are given. The example is given of a small child being given a candy so that he can take the medicine. And it is expected that the person who is coming to that particular stage, he will go on advancing. Just like for a person to get admitted to the first grade, the purpose is to go to second grade, then to third, and then cross over the stages. But just imagine if a person simply remains on the first grade itself, never advancing. It's a loss of time, it's a loss of energy, the loss of everything. So in the scriptures as well, many places we find that indirect method is used. So scriptures, they talk about three things. Basically, three kinds of instructions we find in scriptures. One kind of instructions are the direct instructions. Direct instructions meaning they are told directly. Tasmad gurum prapadyeta jitnyasu shreyam. Therefore, accept a guru now. Athato brahma jitnyasa. Now inquire about the absolute truth. Really clear cut, direct instruction. Krishna also gives direct instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. Any verse you remember where Krishna is telling direct instruction? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Krishna also says man mana bhava mad bhakto. Direct instructions. In the same manner, sometimes there are indirect instructions also given in the scriptures. Like we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when King Prachini Bharishat, he was engaged in ritualistic sacrifices. He was engaged in all of this. And he was so expedient, he was so expert in his karma kanda sacrifices, that after one sacrifice gets over, he would sit for the next sacrifice. And what was he going to get in the result of all this? He was going to get a lot of time in the heaven. Like the ultimate goal of karma kanda is to go to the heavenly planet or to become a big ruler of this particular planet. And Prachini Parishad was very attached to it. But Narad Muni came to Prachini Parihi. And if Narad Muni would have directly given him the path of Krishna consciousness, he would not have accepted it at all. So Prachini Parishad was very interested in hearing about different kinds of stories. And therefore, Narad Muni told him the story of Puranjan. How Puranjan goes to the forest for hunting. It is described in detail in the 4th canto, 24th chapter onwards. And then finally, he tells him, Narad Muni tells him, that you are the same Puranjan. And you are so attached. So then Prachini Parishad, so what should I do now? Then now you get out of this. But because Narad Muni told him the story of Puranjan, Prachini Parihi's mind was very attracted to the story and to Narad Muni. Therefore, when we are telling stories, when we are telling some kind of examples in order to relate, so they are a form of indirect instruction or indirect preaching, we can call it, so that people can come to the stage of proper Krishna consciousness. So this is the second level. Like we find many a times in this world also indirect instructions are given. When we go on roads and if there is some speed limit, then they will give some instructions. Like I was just looking at it yesterday. So one of the instructions which may be written, indirect instruction on the road. Your brakes are cheaper than hospital bills. Means what? Drive slow. Drive slow. Arrive in peace, not in pieces. So, indirect instructions but very powerful. At the same time, in scriptures, sometimes we find diluted instructions are also given. One thing is direct instructions, second are indirect instructions, and the third is diluted instructions. When Vidura came to Dhritarashtra's palace, and Dhritarashtra was at the fag old end of his life, and Vidura, he spoke to him very strongly. He urged him to get out of his home, but he said to him that you cannot reach the highest stage, you cannot be a Narottama, you cannot be a topmost person, but at least renounce this world and do something good in your life. Diluted instructions. In this world also we find diluted instructions can be given for 2 or 3 reasons. One reason why someone may give diluted instruction is to please the audience. Oh, if I speak what is his liking, then he will start liking me. So to please the audience, somebody may give diluted instructions. The second reason somebody may give diluted instruction is to gain fame or popularity. Srila Prabhupada would say, this Swami, he says that there is no need to follow anything, just give $35 and chant this mantra. And he gives the same mantra to everyone. And he tells that don't tell this mantra to anyone. So diluted instructions, because I want popularity. I want fame. And another reason why diluted instructions are given is because the person understands, the preacher understands that this person is not at the level now. So let me give him a diluted instruction right now, and slowly what will happen? He will progress. He will progress towards the path of perfection. So Vyasadeva's main reason in giving diluted instruction was not that he wanted any fame, neither he wanted to please his audience. His goal was simply compassion. And that is why he gave this entire gamut of Vedic literatures. Okay, Sakam Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, fine. Karma Kanda below that. Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, that day Prabhuji was describing all of them. So he gave all of that. But why? What was the purpose? Purpose was ultimately people come to Bhakti Yoga. Because everyone may not be able to come to that particular standard. But even after writing all the Vedic literatures, Vyasadeva was dissatisfied. Our acharyas, they very strongly criticize Karma Kanda and all other processes. Like our Narottam Das Thakur, he says, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Kevala Vishera Bhanda, Amrita Boliya Eva Khaya. Kevala Vishaya Bhanda. It is a pot of poison, Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Because the only gift Karma Kanda will give you is, two gifts it will give you. One gift is, again come back to this material world and prolong and go around in the cycle of birth and death. Second gift it will give you is increased number of material desires. Because if you practice that path, then your material desires are not going to automatically reduce. And therefore, when Vyasadeva was being told by Narad Muni, Narad Muni told him that you have not described the glories of Krishna perfectly. And therefore he says, Naishkarmyamapyachyuta bhavavarjitam na shobhate jnanamalam niranjanam kuta punashashvada bhadramishvare na charpitam karma yadapya karanam. He says that even Nishkam karma is useless if there is no Krishna element in that. And what to speak of fruitive activities which are described in this verse? He says they are painful in the beginning also and painful in the end also. Because when you go forward for achieving them, like our Sridhar Swami, when he is describing the verse in Bhagavad Gita, Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yone evate. He says that it is painful in the beginning, painful in the middle, and painful in the end also. Why it is painful in the beginning? Because you have to do a lot of hard work. That is why painful. Why painful in the middle? Because you will find other competitors. I want that, he also wants that, she also wants that. Other competitors. And why painful in the end? Because ultimately you will not be satisfied after getting it. So that is what our acharyas describe about this. Now coming back to our direct, indirect and diluted instructions. So we are talking about Shastras. We find in Krishna's life also how Krishna gave all the three. Krishna gave direct instructions, we talked about it. Krishna also gave indirect instructions. Right in the Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter, before Arjuna accepted Krishna as his guru, he's saying, Krishna is saying, Klaibyam masma gamapartha naitatvayupapadyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyakto tishta parandatava. Krishna is giving Arjuna a pep talk, a motivation talk. Hey, get up, what is this? This does not befit you. Raise your standard, raise your bar. What are you doing? But Arjuna does not get convinced by Krishna's motivational talk. And then Krishna has to speak the philosophy. Krishna has to talk about soul and body. Krishna has to talk about different kinds of yogas, ultimately leading to, and all those different kinds of yogas are also indirect process. But ultimately, in the final, Krishna tells him, Sarvadharman Parityajya. And what does Arjuna say? Nashta moho smritir labdva tvat prasadat maya achyuta. He says, all my illusions have been dispelled now. I don't want anything now. This is what he says. So Krishna also gives indirect instructions. Does Krishna give dilute instructions? Diluted instructions? To Duryodhan, diplomacy, yes. Krishna gave diluted instruction to the gopis. When he sent Uddhava to Vrindavan, and later when the gopis are meeting Krishna at Kurukshetra, the gopis say to Krishna, hey, what is this? Purve Uddhava dvare visakshata mare yoga jnana kahila upaya. He says, when you sent Uddhava before, you gave us instructions on Sankhya Yoga. Do you think we are fools? Do you think we don't know? Do you think we will be meditating upon you? Don't think all of this. We'll never do that. So Krishna gave diluted instructions also to them. We find in the life of devotees also, sometimes devotees also give all these three kinds of instructions. Devotees may give direct instructions. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he saw Srila Prabhupada for the first time, he gave a direct instruction. What are you doing? You are young English gentlemen. Go to the West and preach the message of Mahaprabhu. Direct instruction. Then we find devotees may sometimes give indirect instructions as well. One time there was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and he was having a very long hairs, and he was having a very long beard, and he was not shaving. Prabhupada told him many times. But now Prabhupada had to devise some method. And then Prabhupada, one time he saw a magazine and he saw the photo of Haridas Thakur. So he called this devotee, Ramanuja was his name, very beginning days, that time he was in India. And he said to him, see, who is he? This Haridas Thakur. See, how is his hairstyle? Oh, his hairstyle is like this. So what kind of hairstyle should we have? And this devotee was just looking. He said, but Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya was having long hairs. Prabhupada said to him, who told you about Lord Chaitanya? Who gave information to you about Lord Chaitanya? And that devotee Ramanuja said, Prabhupada, you, what is my hairstyle? You follow my hairstyle, you follow me, like that. So sometimes devotees also may give indirect instructions, and sometimes devotees may also give diluted instructions. Sometimes, like I remember, when I was very new in Krishna consciousness, just 2-3 months, and I knew about the 4 regulative principles. So one time I had gone to my relative's place, and there they had made tea, and I drank tea. And after coming back, I told to one of my seniors that, I broke a regulative principle. I drank some tea. And he said, no, you have not broken any regulative principle. Now that was not the truth. But he said like that, just to appease me, just so that I get some hope. But after that time I never drank again. That was the only time. It was not that I was addicted to it, but I just felt that because he wanted to keep my heart, but by keeping my heart, he won me over. Again, when I was very new, I asked to His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu, just 2-3-4 months, I said that I said, Prabhuji, I want to go for running in the morning. Now, morning time is generally for chanting. I want to go for running in the morning time. And he said, how many rounds you chant? I said, I chant 16 rounds. He said, okay, you can go for running. When I asked him and I got that response from him, I never went after that. So sometimes even devotees may give diluted instructions, but if they are with the right intent and if they are meant for the benefit of that individual devotee, then they can take a person higher level of Krishna consciousness. Vyasadeva also had unlimited compassion, but Vyasadeva gave other scriptures. Vyasadeva gave Mahabharata. But then he was told, no, you should write a scripture which will talk about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is when he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. So along with compassion, along with our intention and our compassion, we should have the instruction also. Because if the right instruction is not there, then no matter how good our intent may be, it may not be good enough for that person to get elevated. One time, I had asked this to His Holiness Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Swami Maharaj. So he had come and he was giving a lecture on Lord Buddha. And he was mentioning that people were going in negative, minus 15, minus 16, minus 17. And what did Lord Buddha do? Lord Buddha brought them to zero. That was the contribution of Lord Buddha. And he was speaking like this. And after the lecture, I asked him that Maharaj, if people are on minus 17, what is the problem if we bring them to minus 10? At least some level of advancement, some level of dharma they are following. And he spoke sharply back. Buddha was an empowered incarnation. We are not. Then he said, it is better to get one person in the path of Krishna consciousness than to inspire thousands and lakhs of people on the path of karma. Even one devotee. Therefore, ekas chandra tamo hanti nacha tara sahasrasha. Prabhupada would say, if one moon is there, what is the need of many stars? That one moon is sufficient enough. So, in this way, sometimes, giving diluted instructions, if they are in the purview of the acharyas, then it is very nice. In our outreach also, when we do outreach also, we may follow these three things. One thing maybe we may give direct instructions, where we may talk directly from Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures. Second, we may give indirect instructions also. We saw some examples of indirect instructions in our preaching. So I had taken out once 7 levels of indirect preaching. How indirect preaching can be done in 7 levels. And how there is a chance for that indirect preaching to become diluted preaching in that way. So the first level is, previously it would happen that interested people would come to the right place. Like back in India, we have Haridwar and Rishikesh, where so many people, they just come. Just like that, no one invites them, but they come. So, when Srila Prabhupada also went to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had he had not organized a Gita program or a Bhagavad Saptaha there. Prabhupada was just pulled by his friend and he came by himself. In that manner. That is the first level, getting the interested people. Second level is to get interested people. To get interested people. Those whoever are interested, we get them. And that is what we generally do. We put an advertisement, we put a poster. Whoever is interested, please come to the temple. And they come. Prabhupada, when he was in New York, there was this one disciple named Howard. And he just saw Prabhupada looking by from the road, and he came to Prabhupada, and he asked, "Are you from India?" Said, "Have you been to India?" Prabhupada asked him, because otherwise how would you know I'm from India? Yes, yes, I have been to India, but I could not find any guru. And Prabhupada said to him, "Okay, we have classes going on here, Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays in the evenings, please come." And later, this same Howard went on to become Hayagriva Prabhu. So, to get interested people is the second level. Third level is to create interest in people. And that is what we do sometimes. We may do pantomime shows, we may do dramas. His Holiness Vishnujan Swami Maharaj, when he was preaching in Austin, in Texas, so they would do road shows to attract people. So to create interest in people is another way. The fourth level is to speak what is of people's interest. For example, people are stressful, so we speak about stress management. If Valentine's Day is coming up, we talk about Valentine's Day special. But what we'll talk in that? We'll talk about the love of Radha and Krishna. But for getting them to speak what is of people's interest. That is the fourth level. Fifth level could be, again if you go down below, to keep on speaking about what is in people's interest. Just keep on speaking about that. For example, if people like some kind of diluted stuff, keep on speaking about that. Not anytime speaking higher things. This is the fifth level. Sixth level is, if we keep on speaking about people's interest, then sixth level, it becomes our interest. Like my spiritual master tells the story of one of the persons who got very much, he got mesmerized by Stephen Covey Institute and how they present and how they interact. And he just went there to learn how to present philosophy to people. And he left Krishna consciousness after some time and joined that institute, Stephen Covey Institute. And he became a motivational speaker there. So this can also happen. It becomes our interest. And the seventh level, it could be the same thing can become the interest of our followers also. Whoever is following us, it will become their interest. So in this way, there's a danger that indirect preaching may lead to diluted preaching also, and our Krishna consciousness also can get diluted through that. But within the realm of Krishna consciousness, when we are giving diluted stuff to people, then it may be conducive for their growth. Like when a person comes in beginning, we don't tell him to chant 16 rounds. We tell him, okay, 1 round is okay, very good, very nice. You chanted 1 round, 2 rounds, wow, it's amazing. So in that way we do our preaching, wherein we get people gradually from lower standards to higher standards. So that we can do, and that is what is being mentioned in the purport here. Because of Prabhupada's moment, we need not tell people about Karma Yoga, about Jnana Yoga, about all these yogas. We can directly get them into Bhakti. First lower standards, and then they'll gradually rise on to the highest standards. And even if they remain on the lowest standard of Bhakti Yoga, that is still an advancement. Neha bhikarmana shosti pratyavayo na vidyate. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So today is the day of Deepavali also. And we are talking about instructions here. But Vrindavan is a place where Krishna's instructions don't work, where Krishna's devotees give him instructions. And that is what is the place of Vrindavan. And today is the day when Damodar Leela happened. So where love is there, their instructions don't play any role. And that is the greatness of Krishna's Vrindavan devotees. They bind Krishna with their ropes of love. That is why in Damodar Ashtakam we have Bhakti Baddham. They bind Krishna with the ropes of love. And therefore on the day of Damodar Leela, when Krishna was performing mischief, and ultimately Yashoda Mata bound him. Krishna was not agreeing, first of all, to get bound. But the only reason why he agreed to get bound was seeing the hard work of Mother Yashoda. Because Yashoda had decided, I want to bind Krishna today. Drishtva parishramam Krishna kripaya asit swabandhane. By seeing the hard work, by seeing the parishram, Yashoda was perspiring. And by seeing that hard work, Krishna granted his mercy. In the same manner, in our lives, if we want to achieve the mercy of Lord Damodar, if we want to achieve the mercy of Kishore Kishori, then if we perform hard work, then that hard work will melt Krishna's heart, and Krishna will agree to get bound. And when love comes into play, like Vrindavan is said to be Krishna's playground of love. So when love comes in play, then there is nothing else. Then the devotee only orders Krishna. Like Yashoda Maiya, she binds Krishna. When Krishna is playing, she catches Krishna by the hand and gets him back home. We are wanting to go home back to Godhead. Yashoda Maiya brings Krishna home. Itham Yashoda tamashesha shekharam Matvastam nisneha nibattadhar nipa Haste grihitva saharama machyutam Nitva savatam kritavatyathodayam. Ittam Yashodatam Ashesha Shekharam, the topmost crest jewel, who is Lord Krishna. What did Mother Yashoda do? Matva Sutam. She considered him to be his own child. Sneha Nibaddha Dhir Nripa. And how did she bind him? By her sneha, by her love. And what did she do? Haste Grihitva. She caught her hand, Saharama Machutam, and got both Balaram and Krishna back home. So if we want to go home back to Godhead, ultimately we need to go from level of following instructions. First of all, we may be following diluted instructions, then indirect instructions, but then we need to follow the direct instructions. Srila Prabhupada also followed the direct instruction of his spiritual master to go in the West and preach. He followed that. That was coming many times to him. So we follow the direct instructions, and ultimately those direct instructions will enable us to develop love for Krishna. And when that love develops, then we no longer need to be bound by any instructions. We will be carried by that love. And that is Vrindavan. And that is what is the goal of all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, we are so fortunate that we have got the highest without even having to endeavor much for it. So we offer our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada that we are able to celebrate this Damodar Maas also. Otherwise, it was just an ordinary month for us before coming to the path of Krishna consciousness. So I'll pause here. Thank you very much. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavat Purana ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.